Good morning, students. Welcome into the another session of CS22 operating system concepts using Linux Unix. In our previous two lectures, we get to know about some fundamental concepts related to the operating system called Unix and Linux. As all of you knows that this is a theoretical subject as well as it contains 15 marks of practical weightage. So the theories that we have discussed are introduction to operating system, that is the definition of operating system, then various types of operating system functions like memory management, process management, device management, file management, input output management, security control, job accounting, error detection codes, and coordination between the software and hardware for users. Apart from all these functionalities, lastly we have completed with memory management. As basically there are two types of memory called primary and the secondary memory. Whenever the operating system gets started, which is called as booting process, in that there is a major role of primary memory. Primary memory is also called as a temporary memory. That means till the system is started, the information gets stored inside the primary memory, which can be shifted to store it permanently into the secondary storage device. This primary memory is allocated and deallocated automatically by the central processing unit, which is in short called as memory management. Memory management is used for handling multiple users and their requests, and the responses which is generated by the central processing unit. Even once this request gets satisfactorily completed, it should be get deallocated by the respective resources of the system for the reusability purpose. This entire scenario in our subject is called as memory management. After that, the newer concept which we are going to introduce in today's session is process management. It is equally important like a memory management. Into the system, there are variety of processes get handled by the central processing unit. Processes are basically divided into the three categories, that is microprocess, mini process and major process. These three types of different processes handles by the component called central processing unit. So we can say that central processing unit is the heart of entire system. Now there is a clear cut bifurcation between these three types of processes: mini, micro and major. Microprocesses means all these three depends on its life cycle. Microprocess, mini process and major process depends on the life cycle. Microprocess means its life cycle is very short. For some moment of the time, the process get started and then it gets over called microprocess. Mini process and its life cycle executes for more period of time. We will take an example of these three processes very soon. and the major process is its life cycle is active till the system is on. That is called as major process. Again, I am repeating my words. First, here we are trying to justify the word called process. Process means it is of basically three types: microprocess, mini process, and the major process. These three different types of processes are bifurcated through considering their life cycle. Microprocess and its life cycle is very short. Mini process and its life cycle is more than the microprocess, and major process is active till the system is live, or you can say on. Now, for example, suppose we are just switching, we are just starting our computer. That means I have just pressed power on button of my system. The first process which is handled by the entire system is called as booting process. So that booting process required allocation of primary memory for executing its first task, where you can see that whenever you press the power on button, there is a blinking light in every devices, which actually checks that the device works properly or not. That process is called as microprocess as far as the operating system is concerned. Once the every devices has been checked by this short process, they actually returns the response that I am ready to accept any type of request. And if everything goes proper, then the next phase of loading the booting process gets started, which is called as loader loading, in which operating system gets loaded over the screen through the central processing unit. Once everything works properly into the booting process, the system automatically shifted from microprocess to mini process. That means once the system gets loaded properly, operating system gets loaded properly, and you are able to see your desktop screen with different icons, microprocess gets over. The resources which is occupied by that particular microprocesses get released automatically by the central processing unit, and it is converted from microprocess to mini process. Now, in a mini process, what happens if you have set any startup services into the taskbar, then it will get executed automatically. As you can see in my system, there are various icons are situated on a very right lower part of the system, where many applications get executed simultaneously. If I terminate any of the application, if I get exit from any of the application, entire process of operating system gets not disturbed. That is called as mini process. That means if you want to access that application, you can, and if you want to quit, then it's okay, no problem. The entire operating system works properly. It doesn't disturb the entire sequence of operating system. Then the last one is major processing. Major processing means as the computer gets started, desktop get loaded, and it is still as it is onto the screen till you not select the shutdown option from the entire system, from the login option. That is called as major process. That means, say for example, right now my operating system is handling three different tasks. Actually, more than three tasks, but I would like to convey the three different tasks. First, you can see this notepad. Behind that, there is a PowerPoint presentation, and if I minimize all these things, behind that there is a working of operating system is going on. So right now, three different tasks is handled by the operating system, which you can see. Many tasks is handled by the operating system right now, but I would like to say about three only yet. One is notepad, which is on the front, and then after a PowerPoint presentation, and then after, if I minimize both of these two, there is an operating system. So it is called as multitasking, multiprocessing handling. So our operating system justifies the two previous word called multitasking and multiprocessing. If I type something in this notepad, then it will not disturb the background process where the PowerPoint presentation gets executed. Is it possible by you to handle such type of activity by making the projects? If yes, you can do it. As previously discussed, our Indian statutory doesn't contains pure Indian operating system. We are using all the operating system which is made by the out of India companies. So can't we take an initiative for creating our own operating system? If the answer comes yes, then this is the research topic which I would like to share with all the students and all the listeners if they are listening my videos. Anyways, we will not discuss more about this yet. Let's continue with our topic. So, into the process management, this process management is actually handled by the one component of operating system which is called as process scheduling. What is the task of process scheduling? As the name is suggested, process scheduling schedules the every type of processes in a sequence in which CPU get executed one by one or parallelly for the users. That is called as process scheduling. It is a one type of timetable which is handled by generally the college for taking the various lectures. Parallelly in a separate classes, separate subjects gets executed by the different faculties. It is called as scheduling. So same type of thing can also be done into the central processing unit for handling the various types of processes. That means memory management, which is the previous component, and the process management which we are discussing right now works together for executing a single process, which might be micro process, mini process, and the major process. Then the question suddenly came in my mind that who decides that this is the micro process, this is the major process, and this is the mini process. So it should be decided by the central processing unit itself. Depends on to the instruction set which is given by the user as a request for accessing the resources or internal resources of the system. So again, I am not going in depth into the discussion of this entire thing, but process management is handled by process scheduling, where every processes get scheduled as per the resources that they have occupied. Now, thousands and millions of mini micro major processes get evaluated by the central processing unit that should be controlled. So that should be controlled using another component which is available into the process management, that is called as traffic controller. Generally, Or you might have faced one problem that sometimes your system gets stuck. That means there is no movement of mouse cursor, there is no movement of any. Suppose you are pressing any key from the keyboard, then your system doesn't replies, which we says that our computer get hang. Then what is hang? We are using the word called hang. My system get hang. Your computer is started. The screen on your monitor gets stuck where it is, and we use the word called my system get hang. Then what is hang? It means the central processing unit with its two component called memory management and process management got such type of request which is unable to justify at that particular time. Central processing unit went into the sleep state. There is a process state diagram which we will share very shortly during our discussion. In that you will find out this particular word. In this particular situation, central processing unit goes into the sleep state where that particular component is unable to understand any request which is given by the user. That time it stop responding everything. We need to restart the system for clearing the internal buffers, where actually it clears the every major components which is used by the operating system, like memory, process scheduling, traffic controller, everything. Ultimately it deallocates the every processes which is generated by the central processing unit. So again, I will not discuss more about this right now, but traffic controller controls the entire traffic of the central processing unit, which comes from input and output devices. Means whatever the input is done through input devices must reach at the specific output devices that should be controlled as per the limited resources of the system, that is handled by the component called traffic controller. So this process scheduling and traffic controlling works together as a common part of the unit called process management. Let's go ahead. Now, after the discussion of two major components called memory management and process management, the third one is input output device management also. It is very important. How can we justify this functionality of OS? An operating system manage the device communication via their respective drivers. Driver means what? Actually, it is a one type of software which get installed in older system manually and the automatically into the latest operating systems like Windows 10 or in future higher. What is the functionality of these drivers? Clear one thing first. Drivers is not an hardware, it's a software sequence which is given into the operating system for making the bridge between the device and the central processing unit. That means once you attach the external hardware to the system, which is unknown for the entire computer, to make it known, the driver get installed manually or automatically in older system and in a newer system. Again, I will not go in depth for that, even it contains one more lecture. But in short, whenever you attach any external device which is unknown for the entire system, gets known by installing the driver. For example, suppose you are purchasing any pen drive from the market and you are unboxing that particular pen drive and attaching into the system for the first time you will find our message onto the screen, system device driver get installed. Once it is installed for the second time, suppose you are attaching the same pen drive into the same system, driver will not get installed. Automatically your pen drive get detected and you can see into the my computer automatically. So that is called as input output management, or you can say the device management. Now this is done by one of the major component, again a major component of the operating system called input output controller, where we can find the input output controller. The input output controller are founded into the manage, and in the manage we'll find it into the device manager. Let me open it. So this computer management is opened. There are variety of options are there. Just go into the device manager. Once the device manager opens, all the devices which is get attached with the system, you will see over here. If some of your device is not working properly, then you can see it over here. Right now some PCI devices is not properly configured in my system also. So I can see over here, where if you right click on that particular option, there is an option of update driver software, and even into the properties directly you can update the drivers. Say for example sub component is properly working, then into the properties even there is an option of driver details which we can see. So that thing is done by input output controller. That means this entire unit is handled by input output controller. Even this can be allocated and deallocated by the system automatically. Let me close this thing. Then after the input output, or you can say device management, there is a file management. Operating system is not only just to start the computer, even it is used to manage the user's data also. Again I am repeating my words. Operating system is not only just to start the computer, but it is also used to manage the user's data. That means once the operating system get installed as a system software into the computer, it can manage the various types of drives. That means suppose you click on this PC. In my computer I have 4 different drives like C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive. If I click on this E drive, right click on new and creates a temp folder, or you can say the OS folder. Then I close this my computer. Again I reopen it, go into the E, and even I can see that OS on the same position where I have created. So this is done by file management. That doesn't mean it only creates the folder, but it can create the file inside that particular folder and for multiple folders and multiple files also, with the mode of permissions like read mode, write mode and append mode. In append mode, append means user can change any information in their respective folders. So this is done using the component called file system. So a file system is normally organized into the directories for easy navigation and usage. The directories may contain the file and other directions, like an operating system does the file system management with the help of input output devices. Even it keep track of information, location, users, status, etc., 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 obviously with date and time of creating that particular folder and inside their files. Now, if we go in advanced discussion of this file system also supports the sharing of a particular folder for the other users also. For that, we required the detailed knowledge of file sharing system, which is actually the part of advanced networking which you are learning in this particular semester. Obviously, it have a common two word like allocating and deallocating the resources for the users who use the entire file system for accessing the directory structure which contains the various types of directory as well as the files. So this was all about file management. In today's discussion, we have tried to get some basic knowledge about process management, input output management, or you can say the device management, with the third option called file management. In our next lecture, we will not repeat the topics which we have already discussed, as this is the second lecture of my subject. Just to get connected with the subject, I have taken the repetition of the first topic. Even I have used the 5 to 10 minutes for the discussion of same. But from the next lecture, we'll go for the future topics only. We'll go for the further topics only. So in next lecture, we'll discuss about other important activities which is handled by the operating system while they get executed. Thank you very much, students, for listening me, and have a nice day.